Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hey, Team Healthy. Glad to have you here on another of our episodes of Unbound, where I respond to questions and comments that you send to me. Thank you so much in advance for sending these. And it just helps me to know and understand where you're coming from on a day in, day out basis, and we can jump into that kind of space. Now, today, we're going to be talking about questions that you've sent in regarding how narcissists can become so easily dysregulated and unhinged in their emotional responses to you. And when I say unhinged, I mean exaggerated or irrational or erratic in the way that they react to you. It's so important for me to address these topics with you on an ongoing basis for one enormous reason. And that is, whenever narcissists become emotionally unhinged, guess whose fault it is? And it's never theirs. They refuse to take responsibility for their emotional well-being, but instead they put it all onto you. And one of the things that we stand for here on Team Healthy is it's like, you know what? I've got my own interior that I need to monitor very carefully. I want to make sure that I'm managing myself well, even when or especially when people and events and circumstances don't suit my narrative. But I'm going to go ahead and maintain a sense of decency nonetheless. Narcissists couldn't think like that to save their life, and we're going to see this through the questions that are being asked. I've got a progression of 3 different questions. One person writes in and says, this is a really good one. What criteria goes into the selection of a person who has become a narcissist dumping ground? So the narcissist is there, and they're thinking, and it's interesting. They can contain themselves in certain ways. With certain people, it's like, I'm not going to go off like I might want to. But with others, it's like, here it comes, and you're not going to be the better off because of it. So what is it that they look for that tells them it's okay or even necessary for me to unload my emotions? Well, I jotted down 3 different criteria, and by no means is this list an exhaustive list. But number 1, why do narcissists, or what do narcissists look for? First is they want to know if you're going to be useful to them or not. Are you utile? And so narcissists, before you even realize it or know it, already have a game plan about who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to service them and how you're supposed to make them feel good and take care of their needs, etc. And so as long as you are playing along with that role, you're fine. But the minute you begin to deviate from their understanding of your usefulness, it's like, no. You're not running according to my script. They operate with what I refer to as imperative thinking. You've heard me use that term quite a bit. You're supposed to, you better, you have to, you must. So when you no longer fit the usefulness role that they have for you, here comes the anger. A second criteria that they can have is when they sense that you're weak. There are times when you can be calm and comfortable, and narcissists may not know what to do with that. But if a narcissist begins to feel like, okay, you're over there struggling, I have my demands or I have my preferences, and you seem to be baffled by that, it's fine with me. And so if they sense that you're weak or you're too apologetic or you're too willing to go along and you won't stand up for yourself, it's like, okay, you're someone I can work with. And so they pick people to target based on the fact that I can get away with it, and they think they can. And then a third reason that or criteria that they can use is, and this is an interesting one, if you appear to be too confident or too strong, I mentioned that just briefly, that bothers them. Keep in mind that when you send the message that says, I'm comfortable with myself, I have a plan about how I'm going to manage things. This can be at work, this can be as you co-parent, this can be in ways that you manage your schedule or priorities. When you come across and say, I'm comfortable with who I am, and there's a strength that you emit, they think, well, you're a threat to me. They don't like your independence to the extent that it's like, well, I'm going to bring you down. And so they already have their self-serving agenda that's on the inside, and they're just watching to see if you are going to fit their agenda, and if not, here it comes. Now, another question, and this is another very intriguing and interesting one. Do narcissists feel that they can read people? That is, know their, in parentheses, know their intentions. Do narcissists feel that they can read people? And the answer is, oh yeah, they think they're geniuses when it comes to something like that. Now, keep in mind that when we say read people, there's different levels of that. On the healthiest way, we can say that there's an empathy and they can tune into other individuals and then adjust. Now, let me give you a real illustration on that. Let's suppose I'm feeling frustrated with someone. But then as I'm talking with that person, I realize this person's had a bad day, or the topic we're talking about is something that's triggering to that person, or there's been a misinterpretation, or they have something in their schedule that is creating anxiety. And as I read that individual, as I understand what's going on, I can then modulate my feelings of frustration. Narcissists, when they are reading people, they're not reading people in an empathetic kind of way, trying to understand them for where they're coming from. But instead, they're reading other individuals through a self-serving lens. What are you going to do for me? And then as you behave and respond to them, they're interpreting you through whatever motives they think is going on there. So if that narcissist is feeling frustrated, rather than saying, well, let me find out what's going on here on the inside of that person, like I just mentioned, they can think, you know what, you're just a troublemaker and you're always getting on my case. Or they may think, you think you know everything, or it's all about you, isn't it? And so they think that they know other individuals, so they ascribe motives to you, when in fact, it's all according to the self-serving agenda. And then a third question here. And that is, what can sociopathic narcissists feel? Now, this person throws in sociopathic. That's a whole other topic. Most narcissists have at least some element of sociopathy. When we talk about sociopathy, a lack of morality, rules and regulations are, meaningless to them as far as their guidelines. They have a very low sense of conscientiousness regarding other individuals. They're very willing to cheat, lie, steal, etc. But do they have what do a sociopathic narcissist feel? Do they feel sad about their situation? Do they long for something better? Do they have self-pity? Do they feel love? Do they feel feelings differently than healthy people? Okay, that last one, the answer is a resounding yes on that one. Narcissists, when you ask, do they feel sad? Yeah, they feel sad, but for different reasons. Their sadness is actually driven more by anger. You didn't give me what I want. Or it can be driven by envy or jealousy. There's so many things over there in your life that you think is all that great. Well, I want that too. And so they can feel sad, but they don't feel in the same way that you do because their motive is very self-driven. And then the person asks, do they long for something better? Yeah, you better believe it. Their whole world is driven by, or their whole worldview is driven by an attitude of entitlement. Yeah, I deserve something better. And so there's a greedy element. There's a resentment when things don't go their way. And so they have that kind of mindset. But again, it's not in a way that has any kind of healthy roots to them. And then the question, this person says, do they feel differently from healthy people? And the answer is, oh yeah. They have such a desire for control. and they have such a mythology on the inside of their mind thinking, well, I'm the ideal person who needs to tell people what to do and to set people straight. They refuse to have empathy. They have no self-restraint in the way that they engage with you. They're driven by a mind of power. So we go back to that original question, what drives unhinged narcissists? And these are individuals, when they approach you and when they are reading the room, so to speak, they're thinking in terms of, what are you going to do for me? When you behave in a certain way, how's that going to impact me? And we all can think that way in some way, but the healthy person has enough of a balance that says, well, there's some mutuality we have to build on here. I want to understand you just as I hope that you can understand me. Let's see if we can build bridges to one another. Narcissists don't think that way. They become unhinged when it becomes obvious that you are not on the same agenda as them. You can see there's no back and forth. That mutuality is not there. It's like it's all about me. Didn't you get the memo? Your job is to service me. Your job is to make me feel good about who I am. Your job is to go along with my preferences. And when you don't, there's something dreadfully wrong with you. And then that's the beginning point for their emotional unraveling. It is so necessary, like I mentioned at the beginning, for you to know these individuals are kind of pre-programmed, if you will, to have rotten emotional responses to you. Not because you're a bad person, not because you do things wrong, but because you don't fit their self-serving agenda. And so as they come towards you with all of their vitriol, try to remind yourself there's much going on behind the scenes that they're not admitting, but I'm going to try to, in my best, to understand and know that so that I can respond in my own clean way. What you don't want to do is you don't want to react in the same way that they do. You want to have your own separateness and your own distinction. We refer to that as your boundaries. Be you and make sure that your initiatives are driven by clean intentions and a sense of meaning, as opposed to just reaction to their raw and unhinged way of doing life. Now, I hope that my responses to these questions can give you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. If you have your own questions, put them in the comment section below, and I'll pick up on them. Now, you know that I'm a huge proponent of therapy. Obviously, I spent my entire career in that field, and it can be so life-altering when you go into that space. I've been sponsored for years, as you know, by the people at BetterHelp.com. If you have a need to unravel things of this nature, go beneath the link that we have below the video here. Get the help that you need from the folks at BetterHelp.com. That every person on their roster is a licensed professional therapist, and I would hope that you'd be able to find a therapist that would match pitch well with you. As the need is there, please get the assistance that would be quite helpful. Now, in addition, I want you to go to my website, and I've got a whole lot of resources on there. I put a lot of work into it through the years. The primary upon the resources, I have courses that address so much of what I talk about in all my videos. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and guided questions. We have one on anger called Anger Games, one on boundaries called This Is Me, one about finding yourself despite their control called Free to Be, and then another one about healthy connections called Ready, Set, Connect. Each one of them has a very specific tight goal that we aim for, and all the videos line up with all of that. In addition, I have my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations, hundreds of articles, my books, etc. So narcissists are, just by virtue of who they are, they're inclined towards unhinged emotions. But like I say, somehow it's not their fault. It's because you didn't fit the agenda carefully. Of course, they think that they're doing you a favor by having the agenda. That's where they are. Understand that and know that. And when they come at you with their erratic emotions, then I'm hoping you can maintain enough of an objectivity so that you don't get sucked into the undertow, but that you can be your own separate and distinct person. And in doing so, it allows you to keep steadiness and peace in a way that they can't. They're not going to join you, but I hope that you can indeed have that sense of resolve that says, I'm going to be true to who I am.